On this video, we're going to calculate the future value of our investment. Here is our problem. At the age of 35, you decide to start investing. You deposit $3,000 in an account that will pay 5% APR compounded monthly. When you reach the age of 55, you decide to take out the entire amount and reinvest at 7% APR compounded monthly. In addition, you decide to deposit $200 into your new investment at the end of every month. So how much will you have when you turn 65? Let's go over to our Excel spreadsheet. In my Excel spreadsheet, I have age 35 for my initial investment, and then at age 55, I'm going to take that money out. I'm going to reinvest it at a new rate, and we want to know how much we'll have after 10 years or when we reach the age of 65. Our first investment is going to have a present value, PV, of $3,000. Our rate is going to be 5%. The number of periods we have will be 12 because it is compounded monthly. It would have been 4 if it was compounded quarterly and so on. But in our case, it's 12 months. And then for years, there's 20 years between the age 35 and 55. And then our payment is going to be 0. From that time period, we were not investing any other money other than that initial $3,000. And now we want to know what is the future value, or FV, of that money that we initially invested. In order to calculate that, we need to go up to formulas. In formulas, we're going to insert a function. And in our function bar, mine is FV is right here at the top. But in case it isn't there, you can go here and search FV, click the Go button, and FV will be at the top. Also, there will be additional formulas underneath it that pertain to FV as well. Click OK, and now we have our function box. Our rate is going to be this box, 5%, and we're going to divide that by 12 months of the year because we're compounding it monthly. The number of periods we're going to have is going to be 12 months times 20 years. So we're going to have 240 periods that we're going to earn money in. Our payment is going to be down here. It's nothing, but we'll still put it there. And our present value is going to be a negative amount. Think of it as I've taken that money out of my checking account and put it into this investment account. So essentially, you've lost that money temporarily, but you're going to get it back at the end. Notice now that our investment is going to be a positive $8,137.92. Also understand that our payment amount, if we had an amount there, would need to be a negative as well. Since it's 0, this negative isn't going to matter, but it will for the next problem. Because we're losing money into this every month, we're going to count that as a negative. Now the type. The type can be important, so we're going to go over that real quick. If you're going to get your interest at the beginning of the period, you'd put a 1. But most of the time, you accrue your interest at the end of the month. So we're going to put a 0. This tells the computer when should I start calculating your interest. Now that it's got that all entered, we're going to hit OK. I'm going to go back to home and make that into $. Now we can see that our future value of that initial $3,000 is $8,000. Now we're going to take that $8,137.92 and we're going to reinvest it when we're age 55. In this case, we're going to reinvest it at 7%. Still going to be compounded 12 periods. That didn't work out the way I had hoped. There we go. And then there's going to be 10 years left until we retire at age 65. Pay in mind, we also are going to add $200 at the end of every month towards our investment. So what is the future value going to be? We're going to start out at $8,000 and we're going to add $200 a month at 7%. Well, it should be a greater increase. Let's go back up to formulas and we're going to insert the function. Future value should be at the top. We're going to hit OK. For our rate, again, we're going to pick 7%. Divide it by our number of periods because we're compounding monthly. Now our number of periods will be this 12 multiplied by 10 And in order to do the multiplication, in case you aren't aware, you're going to hit the shift key and the number 8 on your keyboard. The payment amount, again, I said is going to be $200. We're going to make that a negative because we're going to lose that money into the investment every month. That's how I like to think of it. My present value of my investment is $8,137.92, so I'm going to click that box there with a negative in front of it. And the type is still going to be 0. I'm going to earn that interest at the end of the period. And now I'm going to click OK. Change that box to a $sign, and that is going to be the future value of that initial $3,000 following all those parameters. Now, to make life easier, we didn't have to do that function a second time. In a previous video, I showed you can click here, get down to that lower right-hand corner, and you can drag that across. And look, it didn't change the number because it took the same information that we already re-entered again. But if you had a lot of information that you wanted to keep entering, it's nice to be able to drag those formulas across. And as the same thing as you can change. What happens if I would invest $5,000 at age 35 instead? How is that going to change my investment in the long run? That jumps it up to there. What if I put in $10,000 at the beginning? This is nice because now you can go ahead and you can change it to being compounded quarterly, compounded yearly, whatever you need to do, and you can play around with these numbers, and that can change your problem, and that can work for several problems that you may come across.